At first glance, it really looks like South Africa is in the middle of this massive, unprecedented explosion of goodwill. A social sector boom like we've never seen. And the number is just staggering. We're talking nearly 280,000 nonprofit organizations now officially registered. I mean, that's a huge figure, right? It paints this picture of a society that's absolutely buzzing with new energy and new initiatives. So you'd be forgiven for thinking, wow, this is a gold rush of altruism. But is that what's really going on? Is South Africa actually experiencing a massive wave of brand new ideas? Or is there something else hiding behind these numbers? Well, the reality is this boom is mostly a mirage. The data isn't really showing a surge of new groups at all. Instead, it's pointing to a massive, fundamental shift in how the old groups are now being forced to operate. And this gets right to the heart of it. The myth is this exciting wave of new energy. But the reality? It's a massive, system-wide formalization of organizations that, honestly, have been part of our communities for decades. I mean, for generations, these pillars of the community, the local crèche, the neighborhood watch, the burial society, they operated almost invisibly. They were built on little more than a handwritten ledger and community trust. But now, just to survive, that trust has to be replaced with paperwork. And that brings us to this key term, formalization. It's basically the process where these long-standing informal community groups finally go and register as official NPOs. And they're not doing it because they want to. They're doing it to meet all these new rules for funding, for banking, and for government recognition. They aren't new, they're just for the first time being counted. So what's pushing them to do this? Why, after all these decades of operating on their own, is everyone suddenly rushing to get this piece of paper? Well, it really boils down to three major pressures. First off, getting access to money, whether it's from the government or private donors, is pretty much impossible now without an NPO number. Second, even just opening a bank account is tangled up in all these financial compliance rules. And third, government departments themselves are now demanding accreditation to provide services. Let's look at some real-world examples. Okay, so the single biggest driver of all these new registrations is coming from the early childhood development sector. We're talking about thousands upon thousands of neighborhood crèches and early learning programs. So a big census called Vangasali went out and identified over 42,000 of these programs, many of them completely informal. But now, if they want to access the crucial government subsidy, that's 24 Rand per child per day, they must be formally registered. No certificate, no funding. It's that simple. All right, let's shift to another example that we can probably all relate to, the local soup kitchen. Their entire world has been turned upside down by something you might not expect: corporate digitization. Here's how it works. A kitchen needs surplus food from big retailers to operate, but now those retailers have moved all their donation systems online. To even log in and schedule a pickup, guess what you need? A valid NPO certificate. And just like that, the supermarket becomes a gatekeeper, forcing a 20-year-old kitchen to formalize just to get some bread and milk. This trend is also hitting those really traditional community finance groups, burial societies and stock vows, which have managed community funds for generations, are being pushed out of a world of cash and trust and into the world of formal banking. So, what used to be governed by pure community trust now requires an official NPO registration. That old handwritten ledger book, it's being replaced by a formal bank account. And collecting cash is now subject to all these strict FICA regulations. To protect their members' money in a bank, they have to jump through all of these new hoops. And even established churches are getting caught up in this formalization wave. And the reason might actually surprise you. It's all about tax compliance. So religious organizations make up about 12% of all NPOs. But what's really fascinating here is that up to 20% of their new registrations aren't new at all. It's just existing churches creating a separate NPO wing for their charity work, like their soup kitchen. And why are they doing that? So they can issue tax-deductible receipts to donors under the new SARS rules. It's not a new kitchen, it's just a new legal structure. And honestly, this pressure is everywhere. Neighborhood watches, they now need NPO status to get provincial grants. Home-based care teams, they have to register to get direct funding from the government. Community gardens need a certificate to get corporate prizes. And your local youth soccer club even needs an NPO number to get lottery funding or just to book the municipal fields. It's inescapable. So let's step back. What's the real bottom line here? What does this explosion of numbers actually mean for South Africa? Well, it means this isn't an organic wave of new social innovation. It's a mechanical shift. These aren't new organizations. They are the same ones that have always held our communities together. And now they're just getting the paperwork required to survive in a brand new age of compliance. There's a quote from an expert that just says it all. We don't have too many NPOs. We have a system that is finally counting the ones we've always had. The social fabric was always there. We're just now, for the first time, seeing it on an official spreadsheet. And that leaves us with a pretty critical question. This whole age of compliance, it's made the invisible visible. But in the process of counting everyone, are all the new rules, the new costs, and the new paperwork, are we actually making it harder for these essential community organizations to survive?